Yo, this is the best time of my life. I got love, chicks with fat asses, dropping classics. Haters come in flocks, but their wings get clipped. Mommies bounce so hard that the jeans get ripped. I'm the toast of New York, the kid with the golden touch. Life dealt me a bad hand, now it's a royal flush. Fans, I got family, not blood related, but when I need support, they hold it down the fort. I get JL, I got my soldiers in the MI, and I'm the king of the UG, stealing girls' hearts and they like, sue me, he's cocky, who me?
Welcome to the Wrestling School Full Podcast, the new Wrestling School Full Podcast. So, there's a lot of things that went down, and Mark has officially left. He's pursuing other things, and I fully support that. It's been pretty much just me since I think about April anyway, until the end of July. There was nothing in August, and we'll talk about that here before the episode. But ultimately, I'm looking forward to making changes. There will be art change. There will be intro changes. I personally chose this particular song because it was called Feels Good. And ultimately, this is by Death Before Dishonor, which was Loki and Tone Z, which are two, I guess you consider, underground rappers. But because it's me returning and ultimately it feels good to return, I wanted to use a song, something like that. I'm trying to figure out what music I want to do from the intro from here on out, and reach out to somebody that could possibly do it. Honestly, if you're listening to this and you make music and you're a producer, hit me up through the socials or the emails or what have you. I want to set that up, and I will be more than happy to work with you and maybe work out some type of music. Any case, let's talk about August. The beginning of August, I contracted COVID. I didn't realize it was COVID because it was following more of a cold pattern in the beginning. I was just tired, runny nose, a little bit of a cough, nothing too crazy. I took my fiance, who was vomiting and in a very rough shape, to the ER. And because of how she looked and because I had a little bit of a cough, they had us both tested. Came back COVID. Was fine for a while, and ultimately, about midway through August, I was admitted to the hospital. The reason being is we both went up to try and get the transfusions, the antibody transfusions. They denied us because we didn't come within the first 3 days of having COVID, which, honestly, at that point, we both didn't know we had COVID. And they gave her some medication and she left. I, on the other hand, was dipping below 90% or at the low 90s in oxygen, and they kept me in because of oxygen. For the most part, I was on low-level oxygen, like maybe 2 ounces, 3 ounces. There was a couple days there that I went above that, but not too crazy. And I ended up being there from, I forget what point of August till about August 21st. And I believe I was there for 9 days initially. I was sent home with an oxygen machine to where when I walked around the house or do anything that required any kind of physical exertion. At that point, I felt kind of fine for the most part. You know, get a little winded here and there, but nothing too crazy. And to backtrack, they did a lot of tests on me, and beside being a bigger guy, they literally said they couldn't find anything. I didn't have the normal diseases a larger person would have. They couldn't find anything else. On the 21st, I had after being home for a couple hours, I had what the hospital diagnosed it as an extreme panic attack. Basically, my heart rate jumped to 180, and they had to call 911, and I was ambulanced to the hospital. After some medications and things like that, they got it down, and they were monitoring me. Initially, they only wanted to monitor me 1 day, but because of what happened, I wanted to do an additional day, which they actually did additional tests, confirmed my heart was in good health, that it was an anomaly of what happened. Since then, it's been trying to keep the heart rate under control. I did a little bit of reading. Apparently, this is an after effect of COVID. It hasn't gone up that high, and it's gradually kind of gone down in general, but it's taking a while for it to come back down. I've since seen a doctor who actually diagnosed some mental health things, and just like in the mental health episode, I'm kind of going to disclose it. I was diagnosed with manic depressive disorder, which I kind of already knew I had. Anxiety disorder, which makes sense because of what happened. Panic disorder. And the only one that kind of surprised me, well, besides panic disorder, the other one that kind of surprised me is ADHD. I knew I had a form of ADD. I didn't realize it was considered hyperactive. But because I lack the ability to sit still for the most part, kind of makes sense. The doctor was completely behind. I'm in Florida. The doctor was completely behind me going the medical marijuana route because I'm not a big fan of pills. And one of the things that they gave me in the hospital was something I kind of didn't want to have because a lot of people get addicted. And I didn't like the way it made me feel because it made me feel really groggy. So I've gone the medical marijuana route because I have children. I've been very careful about it. I try to stick to like a vape and things like that, especially when they're around me, or I don't want to say around me, when they're in the house. I try to stick to a vape. It doesn't really give off that smell, and for all they know, it could be something like tobacco. I don't want my kids to see that side of things just yet. It's just one of the things I'm trying to like figure out how I'm going to completely handle. Once being released, which I was released again on August 23rd, I kind of try to get more active on social media regarding the podcast and let you know where I'm at. I did post videos on both the Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok that I'm running, which is KM_Wrestling Still Cool. If you watch those, you could kind of tell my voice wasn't there. And that's what kind of further delayed me coming back, if you will. But because my voice is here for the past little over a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, I've been trying to push to come back. Now, there's some scheduling difficulties that kind of happened with doing this particular episode, but I was actually able to get Just Incredible linked up, and we talked about it. We actually talked about a few things. We talked about the Darkside of the Ring, which he was on, the After Effect for Tommy Dreamer and Ric Flair, and things of that nature, and a couple other things that kind of came up. It was a good conversation. Enjoyed it every bit. Justin's kind of became, if you would like to kind of consider it like a friend of the show. There is other episodes coming out. I did record an interview with James Ellsworth. Because of how I want to schedule releases, that will more than likely go out the first week of October. Reason being is I'm going to be talking with PJ Savage here in the next, actually I think it's tomorrow. I'm going to be talking with PJ Savage, and I want to record and release that prior to his match with Invictus on September 25th. The only way that's possible is, well, it wouldn't be possible actually, but because of how close that is to the show, I want to release that next week, and then I'll do James Ellsworth the following week. I have a couple other interviews lined up and discussions, so this is going to be kind of coming back full force. I don't know if I'm going to do 2 episodes a week anymore, just because I have a couple other things going on, but at least an episode a week, and I'm going to try and target it early in the beginning of the week. That way I can let you guys be able to hear it, early part of your week. I thank you for hanging in there. I thank you for all the support that we were able to get on the social medias. Thank you again for hanging in there. We'll get into it now.
The main reason here is to talk about AEW's All Out that took place. Man, it was a few weeks ago now.
I know.
Oh no, a little over 2 weeks. Did you watch the pre-show at all?
I did not. No.
No. I actually did. I don't know who this Wheeler Yuta guy is, but they had him with the Best Friends, and he's been showing up on Dark with Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. And they did in the pre-show, they did a match against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. All that it was a feel good, and it was the Best Friends. It was a 5-on-5. Best Friends with Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, and Jurassic Express against the Harley Family Office, which was Matt Hardy, Isaiah, Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Angelico, Jack Evans. And it was just, you could kind of tell because when they did the match, it was towards the end of the
Right.
hour, the buy-in, and they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of wasted time for like the last 5 minutes of just celebrating before the
Sure.
show.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's a lot of people too to get in. That's Tony Khan's way of kind of let's get everybody a payday. Which is look, God bless him. Making sure everybody gets paid for being on the show. But
It was a
yeah,
feel
that
good, got people amped.
yeah, yeah, and that's what those matches tend to be designed for. Even though I didn't see it, is just spot fest.
Right, that's what it was.
Not yeah, just kind of get people excited.
Yeah. And the first match on the actual card was Miro against Eddie Kingston for
Yeah,
the TNT title.
yeah.
This was a good showing for Eddie.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I mean, I really, I like the way Miro has been up until this moment has been just, comes across very dominant. And it's one thing WWE did very well with him was book him in a very strong sort of way. And early on, when they were kind of, which confused me, AEW was booking Miro with that video game kind of
Yeah.
corny stuff. And this is kind of more up his alley because he's a beast. I mean, in real life, he's a strong, big man. Like, you see a guy like that on a Friday night,
Yeah.
at a bar, you're going to look twice because he's an imposing athlete. And it's good to see him kind of go back to what made him successful in the WWE.
Right. He needs to be booked like a monster. He's built
Oh,
like a
absolutely.
monster.
Yeah,
And I like him.
absolutely.
I like him as a redeemer, even though honestly, AEW shirts that they created for Eddie Kingston that says "Redeem these nuts." I almost bought one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's a funny shirt. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah,
It's a good idea, like to have that. And to kind of go off a little bit, Eddie has been doing commentation or commentary on AEW Dark Elevation, I think, maybe AEW Dark, one of them, and he's
yeah.
been really funny on commentary.
Yeah, he has, and he really shows his versatility. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And as far as what he's able to do, so yeah, I agree 100%. Very
Yeah,
cool, very cool.
and with his ability to do that, it kind of gives him longevity as well.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime, you could go do that instead of taking a bump. I mean, Jerry Lynn and I used to always joke to ourselves, you only have so many bumps on your bump card,
Hmm.
so to speak. And,
Hmm.
and that's the truth, man. Because one day you take that bump and you're like, I don't know how many more I have of these. And that's for real. That's real talk. That's a shoot.
Yeah.
So, it's good to be able to protect some of these guys who, you're investing money into and need them healthy.
Right, and I think that's probably why Jericho's been doing commentary a little bit more as well,
Absolutely.
because I think
Yep.
he's towards the end of his career.
Yeah. I mean, Jericho's got to be what, 50?
Yeah, I think he's like 50, 51.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 47. I turned 50, or I turned 48. Yeah. Right. Could you imagine? I turned 48 in a couple of weeks, October 16th.
Oh wow.
3 weeks to be exact. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know how I feel. And I know Jericho's had a little more wear and tear on his body because he's wrestled full time, where for the past X amount of years I have not.
Hmm.
So I'm in pretty good physical shape, not body wise, like I need to get in the gym, but I'm saying like injury wise, I'm in
Right.
good shape, and I could probably go for a year straight without being in pain. But Jericho seems like the effects are starting to wear thin, even though it's just once or twice a week. Still, that's a lot for anybody, much less a
Hmm.
50-year-old man who's done this for a long time. But that's why I think they're doing this thing with him where I think he's going to take some time off.
Hmm.
Because I know Fozzie's got a big tour this fall
Right.
into the early stages of winter in December. So I think that'll be a good time for him to maybe take a little break, go on
Hmm.
tour, and then come back maybe with a new version of himself as he almost always does.
Right.
You
And
know?
yeah, and like what you said about you having those few years gaps, I think that's why Christian is doing more than like is being more active in the ring because he's about the same age as Jericho.
He's actually the same. I think he's my age. I think he was born in '73. So
Hmm.
him and I are almost exact. I think he's a September baby. I could be wrong. I'm just my recall.